Well, good morning, and how are we all doing? I'm Cassandra B, and this is your energy report of the day. Today's energy is lacking. Okay, it's not lacking in the energy, it's just lacking in me. I feel a little bit beat up this Monday, so I'm feeling a little tired, a little extra. It was a rough weekend, but a good weekend. We did lots of things, but also that kind of wears me out. So that's kind of where I'm sitting today. Where are you all sitting on this emotional Monday, moon magic? Where are you today? That's there's a switch in energies, we will say, how we've been to where we are now. I'm just going to make sure everything went live here. We're just going to take a nice deep breath and settle in and come into space. Perfect. All right, we are live. Let's get her on. All right, there's no gentle way to say this today. Today is a decision point, not the kind you casually wander into, but the kind that actually shapes what comes next. We are at, like I had said, we are at that threshold. We're no longer at that threshold. We're actually on the other side of it, taking those steps into our best life. So this is... the energy, this energy is steady on the surface, but underneath there's a pressure, the weight, the finality, we've got to change something. Something needs to not be this way. So whatever that is for you today, it's what you choose today is what is going to root in. So we really want to be conscious of what we are choosing, conscious of where we are going, conscious of our next best step, along with that big abundant vision. We want to be awake, aware, conscious of what we are doing, what we are choosing, where we are going. So, as I said, take a nice deep breath today. Really center into your body. Today is Emotional Monday, so we want to settle into our body and then find the balance in our emotions. That is the big aspect of how we move through a Monday. So after the storm of Aries season, which we have just come through, and it was a lot, let's be honest, all of that fire that came in, it was a lot. It was beautiful because it helped burn away. It was beautiful because it started to get rid of the things that didn't belong to move into what does. But it was exhausting. I said it felt like 3 years and 3 months. It was just so much to kind of process and move through if you were really shifting with the energies of what were happening. And maybe some of you weren't shifting because you didn't actually understand what was happening inside of you. Yeah, that's where we're at now, because all of that was a lot of and blowing things up and bringing us back into and that ebb and flow, and how do we get our footing to go, whew. All right, we're footed now, because now we're in Taurus. We're in Taurus season, so that's a much more, think of cattle. That's, what we're doing. That's the energy. So think more of cow, bull, that, animal that is going across the earth. Because this is where things get real. Right now, with Sun and Venus in Taurus, this is grounding into reality. So this is where things get real. The finances, commitments, long-term plans, and what you're actually building. So that's why I've been saying, get that big abundant vision, and then take that step into where you're going, because this is the moment. This is where the long term comes in of going, okay, you've been taking all those steps to get ready for where you are. Now, do you know what your abundant vision is? Do you know what you're doing? Because today is rabbit day, so we know it's a seed day, and we know that yesterday there was literally, hi sweetheart, there was literally energy to plant the seeds to move forward. So we are today making that decision, making that plan, making that pathway become illuminated for ourselves. So Venus here softens the edges, though, reminding us that stability isn't just responsibility. Stability isn't just responsibility. It is also pleasure, beauty, and nourishment. This is about creating a life that feels good to live in, not just the one that looks good on paper. We've gotten so caught up of what looks good on paper, what this is my portfolio, but then you meet the person and go, you're a mess. We don't care so much about what the paper looks like. We care more about, what do you actually look like? What do you feel? Where are you in this life? Because it is much more about the truth, not what it looks like on paper, because those were always lies. We were always building and fictitiousing and creating it in the image of what somebody wanted. not what our truth was. That's the difference of where we are. We are going into our truth. This is much more about really leaning into who and what we are in our truth. Not on the paper, not for other people, not for what the expectations are, but our own truth. So there is definitely an energy today so we have Mercury, which is mind and communication. And then we have Mars, which is action and drive. And then we have Saturn, which is limits and consequences. So Mercury conjuncts Mars and Saturn, and this is the point of no return. Today is the liftoff day. We will never, ever, ever, and not like we ever did, but we will never go back to what was before. That's over. That door is closed. And really, we've deadbolted that, and we've thrown away the key. We actually melted the key down so we can never actually open ththose doors again, because that is the past and we are no longer going back there. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't going to bubble up here and there, but it's not about going back. It's about bringing that stuff, looking at it, and moving forward. You've lived through all that shit. We are not going back anymore. That is old ways of being. That's old ways of maneuvering. That's old ways of all that stuff. We are not going backwards anymore. We are standing right where we are today and going, okay, who am I? What do I want? And where am I going? Because today is the day to make that decision. There is no going backwards. Good morning, Carrie. And yes, thank goodness, no going back, because we can't. We are not the same people we were when we started this year. We're not even the same people we were when that horse came riding in. We are not those people. So if you are still feeling like the old you, today is a day really to sit with you and realize that you are not. And if you have some of those old things still shifting in, today's a day to really look at them so you can shift them out, close that door, bolt it shut, melt the key, put that metal into some new thing, and move forward in your own life. Maybe you're going to make it into an arrowhead so you can snap forward. Anyway, that's kind of the energy and the movement of going forward. So together they form a pressure chamber of truth and decision. So that is really the current today, truth and decision. What is your truth, and make a decision into moving towards that? What is your truth and where do you want to go? Because today is the threshold to do that. Today is the day that we have walked onto the other side. We're standing on the other side of the door with it closed behind us to go, all right, look at whole new world. Now walk into that badass world and become that person you've always known you were meant to be. Because that door closed on people's opinions, people's ideas, people's on crap, people's all their stuff that they thought they should place on you, put on you, and think that that's the way you should be. Yeah, we locked that shit on the other side of that door. We're not taking that with us anymore. The people pleasing, the people, places, and things that play in your head and make you spiral and spin. Whew. Slam that door shut. Bolt it, close it, we're done with it. We are moving into this. So now we are in this pressure chamber and the truth and decision energy. So this can show up as serious conversations. I actually had one already this morning. Contracts, agreements, and commitments. And it was all about that stuff. So even before I did my post, they were already working in that. Setting boundaries that stick. This is a big one. Boundaries are something you say, this is my boundary for how I am best in my life, how I am peaceful, how I'm all that. Nobody else knows what your boundaries are. Now, when somebody starts to cross your boundary, you can go, whoa, that's a boundary for me. It's not okay. You can do your own thing, but I just don't want it in my space. And that's okay. Now, if somebody crosses your boundary, this is where that becomes a thing. The boundary is, are you going to allow them to do that? Because the pushback is whatever that looks like. That's putting a boundary. A boundary really is saying, you can do whatever you want. I am not asking you to change. I'm not asking you to do any of those things. I'm just telling you that you can't do those in my bubble. So if you want to do that, you have to do that over in your bubble. It's not welcome in my bubble. And then there's consequences when they try to push into your bubble. That's where it happens to go, no, I told you that was my boundary. I'm not okay with this. Poof. You can't do this here. End of story. Whatever that consequence is. Because for every action, there is a reaction, good or bad. That's the consequences of your action. So if you're listening, you get beautiful consequences. We get indulgence. If you're not listening, you get slammed doors, ugly feelings, and you have to go deal with your own crap. That's reality. So just think about how that works for you as you move through your day. There is zero tolerance here today. The impulsiveness, avoidance, the unclear thinking, there's no more time for that. This is the real fine print where we're at. We are looking at the fine print. We are looking at making sure that all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and we are moving into our best world. Think think 5 steps ahead energy. That is kind of where we're going now. We are standing here and we can see 5 steps ahead in any direction. So what direction are you going? Because right now, that is what is being offered to you, so you can see really honestly and clearly what those steps ahead for you would look like if you took this pathway, this pathway, this pathway, or this pathway, because they're all open to you. But you've already planted that seed for the pathway you want. Now you just have to make that decision to actually walk it, to actually step forward into it, to actually move towards what it is you're wanting. And maybe you've already been doing it and you just consciously haven't realized it, but you've already been doing those steps. I know for me, that's what's been going on, and I wasn't consciously aware, but I was consciously aware. I knew I was trying to move steps forward, but as I was sitting here today, I realized how many steps have actually moved into my space, how many things I've actually done to get ready for this moment, how many things have been cleared, passed away. Oh, look at it. My little hawk is here again this morning. We have a little hawk that is just blowing through in and out of our property. Oh, and I got an eagle. Whoop, whoop, it's a good day. So the hawk and the eagle are both soaring above. I'm not going to try and turn my camera. I know I've done that before, but that's just a beautiful moment. So it just tells you that speak in truth and fly like the eagle today. Anyway, this is make sure everyone involved is truly heard energy. We want to make sure we are heard. We want to make sure that the people in our circle are heard. We want to make sure that that kind of conversation comes and that we are really listened to, that we are really paid attention to, that people are really seeing and hearing us. So, because once something is set in motion here, it carries weight, which is why we want to be seen and heard in this moment. Because if we're not seen and heard, we can come in like a bulldozer by the time they actually notice. So try and see if you can be a little more noticeable. And if not, drive that bulldozer right through your world and let everybody know you are here and you're not going anywhere. And this is the life you're living, and they can like it or lump it. Anyway, so there's a Pisces influence. So this is emotional undercurrent. So even with the grounded Taurus energy, the conjunction sits in Pisces. So this adds emotional complexity. Blurred lines if you're not careful this way. It's a little bit why we need to take a deep breath today and look at what we're wanting. Sensitivity and communication, because remember I mentioned Mercury, so we do have a Mercury day, but it is direct. But even when the energy is direct, it can come off a little fiery because we've had so much Aries. So as we are pushing that Aries to calm down, there can be a little fire to the face, a little extra energy going in today. So be careful with your communication. People are sensitive right now. They're a little open-hearted right now, and they don't even realize it. But there is potential confusion or misinformation if we are not being decisive in how we are moving through, if we are not clear in what we want, if we are not clear with the people around us. So clarity must be earned, not assumed. Double check everything, feel into what's not being said, and trust intuition. I'm going to say, screw all the rest of them. Let's work on that one, number one. Trust your intuition, but verify reality. This is where we need to start shifting. We have gotten really intuitive over the last little while, and that's getting stronger and stronger. So we have to actually work and get attuned to that new energy, or we can make it fall into old ideas, old ways of thinking. That's why we want to verify the reality. Make sure that it is truth. We want to double check everything because everybody's kind of twisting and changing. So what you thought was truth with somebody yesterday may not be their truth today, because they're actually becoming more honest, more truthful, more authentic in their own self. So as you are leaning more into your truth, remember, so is everybody else. Don't assume that they are the same person they were yesterday, because yesterday, remember, we still had that door somewhat open. Yeah, today we don't. So that's the shift. That's the deal. That's where we're going. So please look around your circles and check in with your people and see if they feel the same way they did before, or if something has changed for them. If they still want relationships in the way they are, or if they're looking for something different. We really need to sit down, have conversations with our people and see where we are sitting, see where people have shifted out, where people are shifting in, and what the truth is between those two things. So there is a feeling of fate that is going on right now. This is, there's a subtle but powerful collective undertow right now. So this is a sense that things are converging. Certain outcomes feel unavoidable. Patience is being required whether you like it or not. This can feel really frustrating. And I can say that a lot of people I've talked to in the last little bit are really frustrated and their anger has come up and they're no longer wanting to play small, do certain things, like all of this. So they're feeling a little discombobulated in where they are in their own space. And then other people are also reacting because they're different and from where their space is. So that everybody's getting a little triggered for everybody to go, oh, wow, everybody is really not nice. To go, hold it. Stop for a second. This is just the shift that we're all going through. We're all frustrated. We're all moving and changing. You have to have the conversation to see where they actually are, what their truth is. Don't assume. It just makes an ass out of you and, damn it, me too, right? So let things unfold, and it's going to unfold as it's meant to, as you are stepping into your life of where you're meant to be. So now we're going to get into Monday, and Monday is all about the moon and the lunar energy, and this is the realm of emotion, intuition, and inner truth. So while today asks for external decisions, the moon reminds us that the wisest choice comes from inner alignment, right? If we are flowing with the moon, right, the total energy, we just came off that new moon, it is building for our best selves. So the wisest choices come from that inner alignment. So that's becoming the theme of we want to honor our emotional awareness, our intuitive listening, our cycles and our timing. We also need to honor the reflection before action. If we can reflect a little bit, if we can look at a little bit bigger picture, if we can kind of see things a little bit from theirs, then maybe we won't overreact, get into some of those places that we have slid into in our old behaviors. So those are some of the things that we really need to look at right now is how does that work for us? How does this help us shift? This is not about rushing into decisions. That's not what we're trying to do right now. Slow, steady progress forward. This is about making choices that feel right in the body and the soul. Those little, that feels good. That's the way it should be for every choice. Slow it down and make those choices, because we're at that space to make the choice. Like, we're up on the horse. We're in the saddle. Now, where are you going? The barn door. We just closed it behind us to keep everybody else on that side. Now, horse, saddle, reins, where are you going? Because that's what we're being asked. That is how we're being asked. How are we going to move? Where are we, moving into? How do we feel? Make sure that your body feels strong and steady in that saddle and that you're ready to go, that you are soul aligned for your journey forward. Because today we have rabbit energy, and it's perfectly matched for today's tension, because the rabbit lives between instinct and fear, speed and stillness, vulnerability and awareness. So this is a beautiful energy to use today to shift into this new being. You already sense what's coming, so you just need to trust that. I've been saying that I know there is something coming, and I just have to trust that I'm taking the steps to walk into that. That I know I would like it to be here today, but it's not going to be here until later on. But little pieces have already shifted in. We're expecting the whole thing to land on our plate all at once, and that's not the way it's going to be. Things are changed. That's the way it used to be. Here, big drop on your plate. Now fix it and deal with it and do whatever. That's not what we're doing anymore. This is about looking at what we're wanting and taking each step, being really honest and truthful that, yep, this feels good. Yep, this feels good. Oh, pivot. Nope, that didn't. So let's move this way. Oh, pivot again. All right, come back. That's what we're doing. Making one choice at a time. Thinking. Now, these thoughts that are going on, they're slower at the moment. They're going to get quick. They are going to speed up. They are going to start coming in faster and faster. This is about kind of like baby shoes. You're just getting your footing and making sure that you are solid, and then we're going to run. Yeah, we are. I promise you, you're not going to have to hold on to the reins forever. You are going to get to run, but I want you to make sure that you're running in the right direction of what's true for you, not in the direction you've always been, and not in the direction in the opposite way of where you're supposed to be going, because that fear came in, that worry, that too muchness came in. So be careful of that. The courage to move through fear, not around it. That is the energy that is shifting in. That is what is changing for us. We are getting the courage to move through those fears. Because remember, fear is just false evidence appearing real. Doesn't mean it is real. It doesn't mean it is truth. It's just evidence that's showing up to bring up some of those anxieties inside of you, to make you go, oh, right. I need to shift. This doesn't work for me. Oh, these are old identities. I remember, excuse me, you're supposed to be behind that door. Get back there. That kind of thing. It'll sink in and be truer for you going forward. There is a shadow to watch though, the overthinking, the anxiety loops, and the acting from fear instead of truth. So just be careful of those little, if you start getting in those overthinking, oh, stop. Nope, nope, nope. If you start getting anxiety and that starts to bubble up, take a big deep breath, go get yourself a glass of water, bring that cortisol levels down, bring those stressors down, find your, alignment in truth again. Good morning, Cyril, my lovely little one on here. So the undercurrent is still that turtle and ant, and this is deeper guidance is continuing to move through the steady intensity. So the turtle, remember, slow, grounded, wisdom, pause before committing, protect your energy and your resources. Think long-term, not just immediate relief. Not instant gratification. We're leaving that behind. No, that doesn't mean that you can't have those little moments, but we need to start making those the little moments instead of all the moments. So stop going for the instant gratification every time it blows up. And then we have the ant, which is strategic, practical action. So focus on structure, handle details with care, and take disciplined, intentional steps. So together they say, move forward, but move wisely, right? The instincts meet responsibility. Desire meets consequences. Movement meets maturity. This is the irreversible choices and grounded discernment of that kind of going in with the aligned, intuitive alignment, so to speak. So when these three can come together, this is where all of those things come in, where the instincts and responsibility, desire meets consequence, those movements start to move into maturity, growth. We're switching. We're looking at things a slightly different. So the guidance for today really is read everything carefully before agreeing or signing. Ensure all voices, including your own, are heard. Don't be just a listener. Make sure that people are also listening to your voice. Make decisions that support long-term stability. Verify information. I can't say this enough. Do not just assume what you are being told is truth. Do not believe that everything you are seeing or hearing online is truth. Verify, verify, verify. Verify everything to make sure that you know what is truth so that you can make the best steps going forward for you. So, notice if fear is influencing your choices. Take your time. There is wisdom in pacing. And then focus on practical, structured next steps. I know, this was a lot today. So, in closing insight today isn't about doing more. It's about choosing correctly. There is a quiet gravity in the air, a sense that something is locking into place. So, trust yourself enough to slow down, listen deeply, think clearly, and act with intention. Don't spiral, just if you start to, take a nice deep breath, have a glass of water, and find your balance within yourself. Because the path you choose today is the one you'll walk for a while. So make sure you're making choices today that are best for you and where you're wanting to go. This is not about instant gratification. This is a path you're going to be on for a lot longer than you may think. So really lean into the pathway that you really truly want for yourself. Anyway, I know that was a lot today. I hope you guys all have a fabulous day, and I will see you again tomorrow for the energy report of the day. Remember, today is a moon day. It's an emotional day. It's the ebb and flow day. It is a fill up your cup, get in the best space so you're emotionally balanced. If you didn't fill up your cup enough yesterday, really make sure that you are topped up today so that you can flow through the rest of the week that is going to have a lot more power and fire going forward. So do what you need to do today to be in your best self. And I'll see you again tomorrow for your next best step. Bye.